Okay, story wins. Luke Skywalker, the worst cast of actors in history that has the best-selling movie of all time is Star Wars. And I bet a lot of you are here because you like Star Wars. How many of you don't like Star Wars? I repelled everyone who didn't like Star Wars with my talk because I talked about Yoda and Luke Skywalker. And why do we like Star Wars? Why do we like Star Wars? It's how it makes us feel. And the amazing thing about Star Wars is in the 70s, when it came out, America itself was down. You've had all kinds of things happening during the Star Wars series. You had the Iran hostage crisis. You had the oil embargo, stagflation. The economy wasn't growing. It looked like the Soviets were doing great because oil prices were high. And I like to joke with my cadets when I was teaching history, but it's actually kind of true that Star Wars won the Cold War. Because Ronald Reagan comes in and he says, hey, Star Wars. And he gets elected president and he builds a system named after Star Wars. And that scared the Soviet Union. They blew their defense budget and went bankrupt. It's a story. Not true, but it's useful. And we're going to get into that tomorrow. And tomorrow we're going to go really deep into this aspect of story and storytelling and what it's useful for. And I think you're going to realize some very interesting things about the stories we tell ourselves and why they are not necessarily true ever. But they're useful.
I think I can craft a message that has a lot of power and can identify with the avatar, can really identify with my ideal customer and with the customer itself. Because now, many people will maybe not understand this, but we don't want to trick a person. We want to show them what we're about and what we do and where we can help them. And the way of helping them is to actually communicating the right way or the right message so they can understand that we can help them. So by literally learning exactly how to talk their language and how to tell them what they want to get out of our product or our business or service or whatever, then you identify with those words, you put them in real words that they resonate with them, and therefore you connect with them.
The digital age is interesting. Gary Vee loves to say it's never been a better time to get into business. The cost has gone down to next to nothing. You look at Microsoft servers, Google servers, you can get computing power that big companies 10 years ago didn't have access to. That's true. It's never been easier to get into business, which means it's never been harder to get your word out, because everyone's getting into business. And the funnel map and the strategy and the tactics that go into the execution of that funnel map are absolutely essential. you can't win if you don't get your story right. And you can mess up and actually my team knows this because they've messed up a lot of things recently on something. I won't talk about what. But we've messed up so many things on our funnel map that are wrong and we had to fix them. But the story's working and it's still working. Still positive, still going well, and just going to keep getting better. So, but man, if you get that right, you can just start growing your business in leaps and bounds. And that's what happened when I got that funnel map right. And this is from my old business that went out of business. And it's the exact same funnel map I gave to Peter that I use for Peter now. Now, obviously, we've innovated and kept getting better. But that was the foundation. When I first started working with him, that funnel I just told you about off of that video was the exact same one I built here. So when you get this, when you understand how to map the digital journey, and really, because people's attention span is so fragmented, it's hard to get them to watch that video. How do you do it? In fact, I was talking to Michelle last night, and she's talking about one of Peter's videos, and she's like, oh, I saw it, but then I couldn't watch it because I couldn't play the sound. And then you guys were nice enough to put captions in it. And then I watched it with the sound off and just read all the captions, and I was hooked. And I joined Peter's Sage Business School. So the challenge beyond writing the story is getting people to consume the story. It can be a great story, but you have to get them to consume the story. And that's really where the third part of this strategy workshop comes in. So those are the three things you're going to be covering this week or this weekend. Finding your hero. There's three parts to that. The first part is your avatar. Who are you really working with? And we're going to go over that this morning. That's the next session. Empathy. How do you empathize with that avatar truly? And we'll have an exercise where you'll really go into that. And then their story. What story are they telling themselves right now? Not the story they need to be telling themselves, but where's their story at right now? Second day, once we've determined all of that by the end of the day, tomorrow we're going to pick it up with the hero's journey. Where's their story right now? Where does it need to be? The hero's journey is the story they need to be telling themselves. How do you transform what they're doing right now into a hero's journey? How do you be their Yoda? This is a concept I'll really develop tomorrow, and you heard it in some of my prior talks. But the big mistake people, storytelling is the buzzword out there in marketing right now. The big mistake people make is they think that people care about your story. I thought people cared about Peter's story. They don't. They care about their story that they're living, and they only care about your story as much as they believe that you will help them live their story. And that's what we're going to go into detail in tomorrow. Do not try and be their Luke Skywalker. Be their Yoda. And then finally, when you are their Yoda, and there's all kinds of things going into how to be their Yoda, that's where a lot of the fun stuff comes in, is find their story. What do I mean by find their story? Finding their story is going to be really interesting. You're going to have to figure out how to put it together. Are all of you like Peter Sage on camera? How many of you think you're like Peter Sage on camera? Debbie. Debbie is. She outshone him in his own video. Michelle. None of the rest of you have charisma. I'm just joking. Just those two. I'm glad they're lightening up this group. But no, you all have charisma. And I'm trying to be. I'm joking with you because I know some of you are like, I could never do that. You can. Because if you're passionate about your ideal client, you'll have your own charisma. It's not going to be Peter's. But if you try to put Peter's charisma on you, you're not going to be authentic and you're not going to connect with anyone anyway. Okay? It has to be yours. And whatever is your charisma and your passion around someone that you're truly trying to help is going to shine through. How many of you guys are married? Right? Someone believes in your charisma. Okay? In business, it's the same thing. Your ideal client is like your, and we'll really talk about this in a little while, your ideal client's like your soulmate. Okay? They're going to love your charisma. Forget everyone else. Doesn't matter. And then the last day, we're going to go over the digital journey. And the digital journey really consists of three things. One is mapping the journey, and we'll go over that, and you guys will get to watch me build a funnel in live. You get to see me launch it this year live, so you'll see the results. Then it's about, once you've built your funnel, it's about finding your lifetime value and your customer acquisition costs. And you guys, some of you, I've been beating you up about this. You've been talking to your accountants, making your staff do research. Why am I making you look at numbers? Sam, you're a storyteller. Why do you care about numbers? Well, my last business didn't work out. So if I would have done this last time, and I am a trained engineer at the U.S. Army Military Academy and do have a lot of math experience, but I just didn't apply it. If you get the math right, that's when it really gets exciting. So I'm hammering you guys because I know from experience that you have to get the math right. And that's the beautiful thing about marketing, is it's so interdisciplinary. It's visual, design, it's storytelling, it's videography, it's math, it's statistics. Mark and I sit and look at multivariate rate statistical tests. James is a statistician. He looks at Facebook ads all day. We're deciding when to kill different ads based on optimization. It's awesome because this is where the science comes in when you get into the digital, the last day. And then finally, key performance indicators, KPIs. Fayez, who's sitting here, Peter Sage's CEO, has been hammering us for KPIs. Now we know him, but we had to build a dashboard for him to be able to see him anytime, real time. And that's something that we'll talk about, make sure that you guys all know how to set that up. And that's really powerful when anytime you can just look and see, hey, I'm on track. Because a lot of you, what we found even before you got here, is you're spending way too little money on ads because you had no idea about your numbers and you thought you're being risky and spending a lot of money, but actually you're being risky by not spending a lot of money because your competition could come in and beat you because your numbers are so good and you're not spending. Okay. So Health Matters. This is a case study that I'm going to be developing. Ivona, she'll be sitting in that seat giving us a case study. I've worked with her over the past year. I did her cleanse. I lost a significant amount of weight with her also, like you do, Armando. And we're going to build this out. So I think it'll be exciting for you guys to watch that. Ivona is absolutely passionate about her clients. Her energy, you'll see, is amazing. She's here from Poland, but we're positioning her to be international. We want to target the more overweight markets, and they're out there. So Ivona is going to be telling her story. And that's a shot from a video I did with her for her Polish. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is, who is your hero? Okay, so I'm just going to take 1 minute here because that's the next talk. And we're going to go over this, and then we're going to have a coffee break. So this next talk is going to be about 15, 20 minutes about what we're going to talk about today, and then we'll have the coffee.